All right, so we can quickly compare. I've been comparing all along as we've been going along. You know, we're receiving, regardless of the chosen, the planning element. You know, I've mentioned earlier, FAR 7 really addresses planning, and even in the world of GSA schedules, we cannot avoid the fact that you need to do planning. All right, so you plan your procurement. Part of your market research demonstrates that schedules is a methodology. What it also demonstrates that it's commercial by nature, and that if it's a service, performance-based is a preference for all services. And then when we speak about providing for full and open competition, I've addressed that element already. We spoke about low price, technically acceptable, or trade-off. The trade-off would be the best value. And when we speak about versus trade-off, we're more than likely in an arena where we're talking about the concept of not having not awarding to the lowest price. All right, and we talk about the schedules already have prices that are established. You can do your market research. I've even known a number of folks that you really use the pricing of the schedules to help to generate their independent government estimate as to what's going to be spent. Fair opportunity, we've addressed that element already today, and so that if you do need to limit the sources under the schedule program, you can do so with a limited source justification, as opposed to a full-blown justification and approval, or JOFOC, the justification for other than full and open competition. They are the same document, just called different names by different agencies. We spoke about SECA earlier, and the fact that it is a requirement and it heavily applies to the concept of FAR 15. But let me express that Competition and Contracting Act, all of the GSA schedules adhere to that. They meet that requirement with the nature of the contract that's been awarded. All right? And when we talk about the procedures, we're talking about commercial products, yes. All right, when we talk about construction, we've already addressed those dollar thresholds in regards to where the micro was and so forth. But when we talk about preparing the solicitation, there is no necessity. If you read the slide, you can see that it talks about posting in FedBiz Ops if you're using FAR 15, if you're above $25,000. 8.4 gives an exception to posting in FedBiz Ops. So there's no requirement to do so there. And, you can utilize other factors, as far as, other than cost and price, or pricing cost when it comes to evaluating under 8.4. Best value is the norm. And you can add additional clauses. Already mentioned that. You can have some additional agency-specific clauses that would be pertinent to your requirement, your activity, your location, whatever, as long as they don't conflict with the GSA overarching contract clauses, since you're placing an order against one of our contracts. The evaluation processes, when we're comparing 8.4 to 13, it's really discretionary in regards to having a set-aside for small business. All right, and so, so you can use the schedules for small business set-asides, but under FAR 13, above micro, it's mandatory. You have to do such. The technical evaluation concept is certainly available there in regards to 8.4, but when we speak about normally low price is the methodology when you're utilizing FAR 13. And when we speak about all the responses are recommended best value source selection, you may use it under FAR 13, but generally speaking, you're going to utilize low price. And so we speak about the concept of the vendor's quote, the contractor's quote, complies with all the terms and conditions of the RFQ. And so your contractor has to be compliant to all of those clauses and provisions that are pertinent, if you will, to the contract they have with GSA. Management and administration, let me say this. If you place a task or delivery order against the GSA schedule, you manage that. It's your requirement. And so you're going to manage it from a perspective of contract oversight. If there is an issue with the contractor's performance, you would bring that to GSA. We obviously want to know about our contractors and their failure to perform, particularly if there's any suspicion of fraud. But let me express this. You have the authority to actually manage your own contractor. You are overseeing them as they perform the work, and that you would be able to terminate them if they fail to perform in the appropriate manner. And so there's processes for you're observing them with your own core, your contracting officer representative. You know, a lot of agencies are still referring to CORs or COTARs, Contracting Officers Technical Rep. I think that title of COTAR has officially gone away as of last September, and all of those folks are now going to be CORs within the government. But all the same, you can manage it on and of yourself. Delivery and invoicing would be at your prerogative. You know, it does apply to the Prompt Payment Act, and you are required to do a closeout of your orders as you would per the procedures of your agency and what FAR has to say upon all of your orders that are there. Some other major differences, you know, that we can speak about, you know, there are similarities, obviously, but there's some major differences in the way you plan. I'm going to express that the planning is required in either methodology. The degree of planning is going to be warranted by the dollar value that you have and so forth. And so you can develop an RFQ in either methodology that could be in, you know, under GSA schedules. The sky's the limit in regards to the dollar threshold. And, you know, you're going to publish the RFQ. There is differences in regards to whether it is required under 13 because it's over 25,000. You would have to publish in the Fed Biz Ops, but you would not have to do that under schedules and so forth. And so there is some differences in protocol and procedure between the two.